All right.
Hi, everybody. So Brad and I are back with the Ascension series, and we're going to talk about the astral plane today and how dreams apply to that, and also kind of the symbolism in that. And this whole series is wrapped around our community that we have created, which is called Mastering Ascension. And we do 2 live meetings every month. And do you want to talk about that a little bit, Brad?
Certainly, yeah. And, we were recording this in between those 2 live meetings. So we typically do 45 minutes to 60 minutes of live Q&A and with our Ascension Mastery members. And hello and good day to everybody. And aloha, mahalo, and good day from the Great White North in Canada with my virtual AI background. How amazing is that? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Our Ascension Mastery people, for those of you watching, are incredible, right? We have like the super Swedes. Who knew that we would have 4 different people from Sweden who would be in our group 2 months ago, starting and going, I feel very lonely, like a black sheep in my family. And, up here in Stockholm for almost 4 years of the pandemic lockdown, keeping it cleaner for the rest of the YouTube channel. That's as far as it'll go. And then all of a sudden somebody goes, wait, where are you? I'm just outside Stockholm. And then somebody goes, wait, you're outside Stockholm. You two are, I'm in Stockholm. And then next thing you know, you have 4 super Swedes going, we were all didn't know each other until we came together. So it's amazing. We have members from South Africa, Sweden, Mexico, Peru, Australia, of course, Canada, in the USA, and a couple of other amazing countries represented. And then the Yukon, right? Still part of Canada. And the key thing here for this group, in this Ascension Mastery, this is about only having old souls in starseed. So if you're not just waking up, and if you're looking for a group of extremely enlightened light workers, healers, and old souls, super star seeds, as far as I'm concerned, this may be a group to check into. But if you're just waking up and this stuff is, like sounding too woo-woo for you, it's absolutely not for you. This is kind of like, again, it's the Ascension Mastery membership level, where every day everybody's jumping in the community. Some are talking about the humanitarian project, the amazing healings they're having, the channelings which are coming through, some of them helping out each other around the world. And nothing like this existed, which is why Honey and I created this group, because where we go one, we go all is galactic. That's number one. And secondly, we have to make sure we have a common unity of people who are already in the ascension process, who realize their soul came in for this mission, their sound of uniform love for this mission, not only to waken up humanity, but also to be there with incredible technology, healing communities as well, and open this vessel for the rest of the world to come into. So if you're feeling like you're a bit of the black sheep still and you haven't found your community, we invite you to give it a shot. Go for it. The link's right below the description of this video. That will tell you a little bit more about it. It's like 95 cents a day, I think, is what it comes down to, because there are resources and time and technology which do have to be paid for people to be involved in this community of benevolent souls around the world. But it is as cost effective as Honey and I can make it for only, again, the ascended super starseed souls, as far as we're concerned. This is not a beginner's class whatsoever. And that's kind of where it is. And we're grateful to offer that. And it's okay if it doesn't resonate with any of you if you're at the beginner level of your awakening.
So we have a pretty amazing audience. So a lot of them are ready for this kind of thing.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And yours and mine. Absolutely. Yeah. But it's also on the YouTube here. So there's a lot more people waking up coming to your YouTube, because I'm not allowed on it. You can't say my full name on it. So still.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to protect your channel without saying my name or the name of my show, which is on Rumble. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So cool.
So we want to talk about the astral plane, and I've been drawing some of it. So I will tell you a little bit about my experience. Most of the time I get messages about what I've been doing in dreams, and it comes in snatches. But once in a while I get to actually see it, and it looks like you're out in space and every single thing is made of light. So I drew some pictures, or I painted some.
Yeah.
And I want to just show you guys.
And this is the Dream Decodes episode, because we know a lot of people, especially in the last week or so, have been having very vivid dreams, you know.
Yeah.
Uplifting and maybe not so much.
Exactly. So all of the universes are made of spirals. Things get built in spiral, and the more dense, the closer to the end of the spiral they are. So the more tight they are. So 3D is actually going away in this process. And so it's going to loosen up. And somebody actually drew this picture for our meeting today with this S.
Yeah, this morning.
Yeah. Which is really cool because it's an energetic building block. And then this is Earth here. So I saw Earth in a huge grid system, almost like a chessboard, and there was more things in here, but this is Earth, this little tiny thing. And it's just so vast, you guys, so vast. And this is what you would experience more, is this kind of beautiful cloud-like experience.
Very celestial.
And yeah, that I did that the other day, and it was very fun to paint. So it, you know, do some of the stuff that you enjoy right now, because it will bring in a whole lot of, I don't know, like activations and fun. And it's important to have fun right now. If you're not having fun, then try to find some fun, I would say. That's important. But you want to talk about some dream symbols?
We'll definitely talk about it. Would you mind putting that up for a second again? I'd like to draw people's attention to it. Yeah, thank you, because it's really beautiful. We have two ladies in our group are actually not just grid workers, they are grid creators. So we have one who creates planets when she did the channeling, which is wild. And then the other one who drew the S we saw in the painting. If you can go back to the first one, honey. Please and thank you. Awesome. So look at the spirals, right? We already see nature has already shown us the cosmic creator's beauty already in our reality, which we live in now. You look at a snail, right? You have the spiral shells in the home. You look at toroidal fields. When we look at what the baddies, that's all I'll say for the YouTube channel, the baddies did was they created architecture, which is squares, block offs, hard lines, right? And while that may show some symmetry, let's just take a look at where you're watching this broadcast on. You live in a square home, you drive a box to work or to get groceries, you're watching this on a box, and very little of that has to do with flowing movement, right? You think of Feng Shui, you think of energy meridians, you think of Qi, you think of Qi. I'm a Reiki master for nearly a decade, practicing 22. And so when you look at the natural flow of things, ocean and whatnot, there are no hardcore structures to them. Yet foundations have a framework. So when you look over here at that bottom left-hand corner of your picture, you kind of have that gridded framework, and then in those layers, it gets filled in. So I think that's really telling as well of what we have, the matrices which hold the fabric of our being together. And that's really cool too. So staying in the flow, right? You look at Bruce Lee, and I posted a video of him a few weeks ago, which was a video that has been out there for a while, where he talks about be like water, right? Water flows. While you pour water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You pour water in under the floor. I'm totally messing up his quote now, right? And it can go underneath the floor, and he goes, becomes a wave, and it can crash. Be like water. And so as we are moving forward in the astral, you look at your etheric body and your soul, which is expansive, and it's kind of just doing like this, you know, like a beautiful, there you go, that gorgeous celestial image, you know, it's just kind of reaching out from its vibrational center point, and then just allowing itself in its complex, multi-leveled layers from the etheric realm to the astral, and then back to your physical being already. It has a lovely, what comes to mind, the image for me to explain this is like a symphony you might see in a ballet, where you have some ballerinas up front and others that are behind, and other ones that are getting, thrown up in the air and jumping around each other, but it still comes up to this beautiful orchestrated performance. And that to me is the performance that we have both in the three-dimensional life which we're living now, but also then the astral plane. What is it that we're reaching out to? We might be touching on in the astral realm, which is bringing in these interesting dreams that people have had that have become far, far, far more vivid. Not just the people in our group we were talking about, but even some of the, I would say they're high level guests that I'm honored to have had on my show. Just even the last week and a half, serendipitously saying the same thing about their dreams, unprompted by me. Just like, hey, I don't know if you've been noticing, but I had this crazy dream last night, or my wife had this. And you're like, holy cow. And if everybody's going, what dreams are we talking about? We're talking about, extreme warfare, all the way down to in the most godlike experience or angelic experiences people have had in the dream state.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that. I think those really
sure.
Negative. Yeah, and Honey's art will be for sale to all Ascension Mastery members.
Ah.
Only for them. Yeah, it's awesome. So cool.
So those are my doodles. But
yeah.
So really, like, think about symbolism every time you tap into your dreams. So your car, and they're all about you. What are you doing? Your car is your mode of operation, your mode of movement. So if your car breaks down in a dream, then usually you need to work on your system, your body, like there's something going on that you're unaware of. A lot of the warring stuff is, think about how we have to heal, society has to heal too. So all these parallels are stacked on each other right now. So some of the energies that really need to heal, they're popping out. And they are much better right now. Those energies are much better. But we did have a few days of like stress. And a lot of people are having ascension symptoms.
Let's qualify that, because I think it's easy for people saying that they're spiritual. Not everybody, I believe, who says they're spiritual are. Just because you go to a yoga class and you can do a downward dog doesn't mean that you're absolutely this, right? Dr. Northrup has also qualified that with the organization she originally started. 80% of them went out and got the what and the where when it was lockdown. So much for those alternative health practitioners. 80% of them is the organization she ran at the time. So when we talk about ascension symptoms, it's not just something where people can go, last year was ascension, I'm having a little achy pains and da 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 da. This time, in all of my lifetime, for sure, it's been 45 years I've been on this, in this body for now. I've never experienced anything like this.
Yeah.
In the physical, right? And then my partner, and then everybody in our group has been experiencing it. You just recently experienced it. Why don't we start with you, and then I'll tell about me, so we can give these viewers, this audience, a little bit of an idea. Yeah, just random.
I would say over the last week, I've had some pretty intense ascension symptoms. Waking up like I felt like I got hit by a truck. Knowing that I had gotten punched in the astral plane. My eye took about 3 days to recover. So, this kind of stuff is happening. People are waking up with bruises. Ask your soul to be very careful as it comes back into your body, because those injuries can translate to the body, because it's the soul that's up there doing that stuff, not your body. I know when we were at a really critical point right before the dome came down, and if you don't know about that, you need to dig back into the other shows, but we were at a really critical point, and a lot of people were coming out of sleep with wounds of battle.
Yep.
So, but we're getting squeezed for the final time, I think, as far as the physical body, because these things that haven't healed over, years are being pushed to heal right now. And that's what happened to you, right?
Yeah. So the bruise was interesting. My partner, she woke up 2 days ago, like all of a sudden got this big bruise on her lip. All right. And I wasn't there, by the way, everybody, so it was all good. And just ran a big bruise on her upper lip. And for me, as you were referencing, honey, my right knee completely went out to a point where it was a 10 out of a 10 on a pain scale. The 10 out of 10, which is when you are at that point in time for roughly 90 minutes, a week and a half ago or so, I was going through this. I just did not want to be here. It was like excruciating, but calling out, doing prayer, doing Reiki, whatnot. It's like, how it is right now. Unfortunately, you got to embrace the suck. It's not fun. It's a 10 out of 10. And then the other one, my right eye, some funny things have started going on with that too. And then we also have, let's talk about dreams. So, over the course of 6 nights out of 5 nights, I had very vivid warrior dreams. And because we're on the tube, there's one I will not share here, but people probably could pick up on it anyway. But warrior dreams, from fighting cartel to being in the space realm and in space in full-on battalion warfare at the highest sci-fi levels, which feels like an unfinished part of the, I can't remember the name, what they call them, Tiamat Wars, but anyway,
Oh yeah.
some other stuff that was at Tiamat, thank you, and a couple of other things that were going on. But mine were all just, warrior warfare, come in extremely tired. We had another gentleman who's one of our members, just say Johnny, one night his dream was about, flying in a fighter jet, being in a battle, crashed the jet, and he just kind of walked away from it. And then the next dream, the next night, was extremely sensual and vivid for him. I kind of see that as the divine masculine and feminine coming in. Honey did a great drop to him on our membership private chat, but what she got from it. So it's really, really cool. But it's also, can be a little bit frightening for people, like what's going to happen when we go to sleep. Just know you're still going to wake up. And if you wake up with anything, whether it's just extreme tired, fatigue, or you wake up boundless energy, maybe just write down a little bit of what you dreamt about. Maybe there's something else in a message there for you, right? This is also part called Dream Decode on this Ascension series we do every 2 weeks. So it's a new topic. But this one right now is extremely vivid. I think, actually, I feel and I know people are realizing that when the physical body goes to sleep, very much like the movie Avatar, honey, they are returning to self, and they're experiencing another very vivid, very real image or lifetime of their self in a matter of a few hours.
Yeah. Well, our soul has a job, and that job is to ascend the human body. So souls have a lot of pressure, and souls also don't sleep. So they go back to their normal place, wherever they come from at night, and
coffee lounge.
And they're working still for Ascension. And then they're working here for Ascension, and they're balancing the energies. So another symbol that came up was having a child in a dream.
Yeah.
So if you have a child in a dream, a child is a new life, a new beginning. So start thinking about write down what the dream was, and then start asking, well, what does that symbolize? What does that symbolize? So for this person, it was change. Change is coming. A new life is coming. And one of the things that we don't love to do as a human is change. So there was ambivalence there. But think about that and know that we are all changing in massive ways right now. we may not even know how much we're changing at the moment.
Yeah. I feel to a degree, many that I interface with do, because of the intuitive aspect that is showing up, whether it's, hey, I just had a thought and you're texting me. That is happening so much more now. The phone call, the text, the voice note, the email has picked up dramatically, at least by a factor of 10 in my experience in the last 2 weeks of people, and they just showing up right now.
People are getting very activated right now, and part of what's changing is the reptilian brain that we've had is beginning to be upgraded into something else.
Yeah.
So we're going to be able to see more and know more. And there are some movies that would help with that. I can't remember the name of it, but there's one with Mark, the muscle guy. What's his name?
Wahlberg.
Yes. And so look his movies up, and there's one where basically they tell you all kinds of things in there. And we basically have this huge library of lives that we can access that we've been denied, and that's ending. And not only will you have access to all those lifetimes, but you'll have access to all those skills.
Mm-hmm. The movie you're referencing came out in the last 2 or 3 years. I see in my mind's eye that the name hasn't come up to it. Really
I know,
crappily done. Remember. As a movie guy, I can tell it was really crappily done. But it was but the disclosures there for everybody to see. And you brought up 2 great points as well about spectrum. Number one, about spectrum, it's been well known that our current eyes can only see 0.03%. Let's put that another way. 99.97% of everything which exists, you can't see. That's a better way to say it. 99.97%. And they're like, kind of like, junk and DNA. You don't need this. Of course you do, right? You got this beautiful body, perfectly created and brought into this world. There's no junk there. It was a grand, perfected design. So the spectrum is now awakening to you as you go through this crystalline upgrade, infinite. Yeah, thank you. And again, do you notice that you have the S's there? You have that wavy, beautiful S.
That energy.
Right there. Yep. That's the one. There you go. And so he taps into his soul lifetimes, so you can bring that energy forward right there in that movie. And anybody can do this, right? I've been a fan of Dolores Cannon, as I have, and I've done multiple LBLs and QHHTs. You bring those lifetimes forward, and also there's a great healing that happens too.
Oh yeah.
So the spectrum you mentioned was very key. What was the other one? It was also great about something that happened in our chat today that you just referenced. Now I'm having the brain fart, which is rare. I've had my 2-0 and coffee and water.
I don't remember.
Hydration. I'm life waving. I got my patches on.
Yeah.
Well, you just said it was right before you talked about spectrum, and it was what somebody referenced on our chat, our Ascension Mastery chat today.
Oh, was it the Terminator?
No, not the term. Oh, yes, the reptilian mind. Thank you. That brought back. So we're just in between doing the Q&As with our group, so we're recording this quick. The reptilian, so that came up today too in the shift. And so remember, even when I went into the Canadian Infantry at 18, they talk about the fight or flight survival mode. When I started doing my open water diving, then I became an ice diver and I went for my rescue, you talk about fight or flight survival mode, because it's key. While fear may be a motivator to make sure you have things going on right, you don't let that override your system. Where does all that come from, though? That safety net you want created, the reptilian mind. That's the fight or flight mind. That's where your cortisol, which is your stress hormone, your fight or flight hormone, skyrockets. People put out fear porn, right? The news media, as we know. That's gone. Why don't you tell everybody what you were sharing with the group? Because I thought that was an amazing insight, and I can't believe we haven't spoken about it before, and nobody I've seen spoken about it in the Ascension process. So here we go. Here's a first for everybody. Live with Honey C. Golden.
I don't remember what I say. So what did I say?
In a nutshell,
it just comes out.
in a nutshell, disintegration. of the reptilian part of the brain.
Oh yeah.
With the mind.
Yeah, the reptilian part of the brain is going away.
The fight or flight.
Yeah, and the fight or flight is going away.
Yeah.
And I did an activation the other day, actually, which kind of went all the way down the spine into the tailbone and then came back up again. And that kind of stuff, anything you can do for your spine right now is going to help. You know, just move and stretch and get some of that programming out of there and get that fluid moving.
Yeah. Cerebrospinal fluid.
Yep.
Up and down, especially if anybody you enjoy a massage and you can gift one to yourself, you know, just work on getting that up and down and running, right? Which also balances the parasympathetic. And when you're in parasympathetic, especially horizontal parasympathetic, that's where the greatest physical healing happens too.
Yeah. Eventually, the nervous system, as we know it, is not going to exist. It probably doesn't exist already, but we're so used to it that we still act like it's there. So a lot of us, our body, our crystalline body is intact, but our brain doesn't know it. Our brain isn't acknowledging it. So that's what's going to change. The perception is going to change. So it's really good stuff. And a lot of changes are coming really quickly now.
Mm-hmm.
And it won't just be outside. It's going to be within.
I think one subject that pops up for me to share here is, what is the firmament and why did they show? Because I totally believe that was a BS video that was shown of the SpaceX rocket launching, and then it hit, it went psh. Like, well, first of all, we know craft can go in and out anyway. Maybe that was, I'm curious from you, was that just for normies to wake them up? And not everybody's normie, by the way, but
partially. But so think about the density of the rocket. So the rocket isn't really made for that kind of water. The consistency is almost like Jello.
Yep.
And space actually has pathways just like we have fascia. So fascia holds space together and also is like a tube that you can travel in. So that's where stargates come from and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
So it's more or less like capillaries through your body. You know, fascia, people might not, hopefully everybody understands fascia, at least in our audience they do. But
they're like little
blood capillaries and veins
sinew tubes, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they hold all the muscles together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fascia is really important because it can get tangled too. Mm-hmm. But if you think about the normal shape of a spaceship, it propels itself, for one thing. It doesn't need to have a big fire behind it. And another thing is it's a disc. So it can slide through the Jello.
What about vibration?
But and it's a higher vibration, but also it has the fascia if it wants to get there really, really fast. So yeah, the firmament is a really cool thing, and I'm excited that people are starting to talk about it because that's space. Space is water, but it's thick. Yeah.
So these are the Voyagers of the Starship Enterprise that are basically flying around in water.
Yeah.
That.
Well, and you think about it, NASA, where do they film all their stuff? Underwater. So it's pretty funny. There's so many commercials. I shared them on Telegram today. Yeah. So you'll have to go check, but
all that stuff.
Pretty funny commercials coming out telling us what's really there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
It's kind of, it's like, okay, everybody, we might have been living under a snow globe.
Mm-hmm.
What?
We were.
Wait, and there's an ice wall? What? And there might be larger creatures on the other side?
And lots more land.
Lots more land. Well, in one of our last shows we did, we talked about the 7,000 islands newly discovered by Japan. Not 7,000.
Yeah.
Newly discovered, you know. I mean, they can look at a tattoo on the back of a cockroach's ass from 200 miles in space, yet they miss 7,000 islands. No.
And you know there's stuff going on there on those islands.
Not pterodactyls, bronchiosaurus. Well, I want to ride a brontosaurus, but you know, just like horsemanship, the ultimate horsemanship when you're gonna have some classes, you know, animal communication with the dinosaurs.
Yeah, telepathy.
Might be there. Yeah, absolutely. Stegosaurus. I'm just one hand on each horn. Off we go. But that's for
yeah. Really prepare yourself for new surprises to come all the time. And just roll with it. That's what I would say. You don't want to have any really massively tight, this is what reality is thoughts. You want to just let it flow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good call. Yeah. Be like water. That's probably the dream decodes in astral plane. You know, and again, that's floaty, right? The astral plane, you're just kind of that floaty, and then you need to come in and you need to be visceral or something, whether it's you're flying on a jet and it crashes and you walk away, just like Johnny's dream, right? You know, it's visceral for the moment, then just kind of then you're into something else. It's just I'm trying to bring up a good water reference here aside from Bruce, but I guess we just have to go with Bruce.
Well, and the faster you vibrate too, Brad, like, you know, I mean, the gateway process, which came out with the C and the another letter in the A,
right?
You can walk through walls. So all you have to do is believe that you can, and also be at a certain vibration. So how does an ET get into your house? They just walk through the wall. They don't open the door.
Yep. And what's really cool about that too, the yogis, you know, people watched. I remember growing up and reading, you know, the Ripley's Believe It or Not books of the yogis laying down on a bed of nails. Like, how do they do that? Right? Or they're taking a big needle and passing it through and pulling it. And then one person grabs one side, and they just like, how did they do that? And one guy was being interviewed, a yogi, and he said, well, I just visualize, you know, I visualize between the cells, the space between the cells. And what I do is then I just ask it to go, and I trust that it will go between the cells and the space between the cells, and then I pull it through. There you go, no blood, right? And people have saw Dr. Joe out there for a long time saying 99.9% of matter is just space. It's the observable effect which we have upon the matter, which is in our body, kind of doing his accent a bit. And boy, there you go. So I would just recommend not slamming Jack Daniels before you try to walk through walls, because we usually see how that works and we know where you're going to end up on, you know, those funny videos, right? And it won't be America's Funniest Home Videos, but yeah, for another time, maybe that's one of our next episodes, is how to walk through walls and levitate, you know.
Ooh, fun. Yeah, let us know in the comments if you want to hear about that stuff.
Yeah, you got it. All right, so we've got to go because we've got the Ascension Mastery Members Part 2 coming up, our live Q&A with them. Check it out. Look forward to joining. If you are at that level, this is likely the community for you for a little while.
Most of you are. Yeah.
Absolutely. Amen.
Thank
All
you.
right, we'll see you on the next Zoom, honey. Thanks, everybody. Be well.
Bye.